When an industry giant, a company that has spent decades comfortably lying on a bed of money, suddenly goes on a frantic shopping spree for niche brands you've probably never even heard of, the most interesting question isn't about those little brands, it's about what the giant is so afraid of. Do you still think Nike and Adidas are the undisputed kings of the sports world? Well, their biggest and most important soldier in China has quietly turned his ship around, embarking on a high-stakes gamble that could change the entire landscape of the industry. All right, everyone. Today, let's unravel a fascinating tale of a retail behemoth attempting a renaissance. The protagonist of our story is a company called Topsports. The name might not ring a bell, but you are definitely familiar with their work. The Nikes or Adidas on your feet right now, there's a very high chance they came from one of their stores. To put it simply, Topsports is the Wanda Plaza of the sportswear world. They don't make the shoes themselves, but they operate the largest network of Nike and Adidas specialty stores in China. And yet, this hugely successful subcontractor, which got rich by working for these two giants, has recently taken a sharp, unexpected turn off the beaten path. Starting in May of 2025, like someone dropping dumplings into a pot, they signed exclusive Chinese distribution rights for 3 niche overseas sports brands in quick succession. Ciele Athletics from Canada, a trendy running brand more famous for its hats than its shoes. Norrøna from Norway, a top-tier outdoor brand known as the Hermes of the outdoors, where a single jacket will set you back well over $1,000. And Soar from the UK, a professional running apparel brand beloved by elite runners obsessed with marginal gains. This is a fascinating move. A loyal lieutenant who has feasted and prospered for years by following his generals has suddenly started recruiting his own band of misfits. And not just any recruits. These are independent, prickly, artistic types. Behind this move lies a difficult truth and a stomach full of unspoken anxiety. To understand Topsports' anxiety, we first need to understand how they used to live. In one word, effortlessly. For the past 20 years, as the Chinese sports consumer market exploded, Nike and Adidas were the two shining surfers riding the crest of the wave. Topsports' job was, essentially, to cling tightly to these two golden thighs and fly along with them. Nike and Adidas handled the R&D, the marketing, and told incredible brand stories that made consumers willingly open their wallets. Topsports simply handled the offline rollout, setting up stores in malls across the country. In that era, this model was unbeatable. Think back a decade. Wearing the latest Air Jordans made you the coolest kid in school. Nike and Adidas were synonymous with cool, and as their biggest distributor, Topsports' life was incredibly comfortable. At their peak, sales from just these two brands accounted for nearly 90% of Topsports' total revenue. Think about that. The very lifeblood of this massive, publicly traded company was held almost entirely in the hands of Nike and Adidas. But friends, in the world of business, there is no such thing as winning forever. There is only constant change. The first change, the generals themselves started to look a little shaky. For the past few years, life in China hasn't been so easy for Nike and Adidas. On one hand, domestic brands like Anta and Li Ning have caught up, not just in technology, but in design that truly understands young Chinese consumers. On the other hand, the consumer mindset has shifted. It used to be, I am what I wear. Now it's, I wear what I am. The power of the brand halo is weakening. Financial reports tell the story. Nike's Greater China revenue has been slowing, even declining. Their most recent fiscal year saw a 13% drop. When your general's rice bowl is unsteady, the subcontractor naturally starts to panic. The second change, the generals decided they wanted to bypass the subcontractor. Nike and Adidas aren't stupid. They saw the limitations of the distributor model and began to aggressively build out their own DTC channels, their own websites, apps, and flagship stores. Suddenly, Topsports, with thousands of stores, started to look less like a strategic partner and more like a glorified warehouse manager. Their bargaining power shrank and their profit margins were squeezed. Topsports' own latest financial report is a sea of red ink, with net profit plummeting nearly 42% to a 5-year low. To clear mountains of inventory, they're selling 750 yuan Nikes for 300 yuan. And in the past year, they have closed over 1,100 stores. That's more than 3 stores shutting down every single day.
The strategic response. For Topsports, change became the only option. To not change was to be the frog in slowly boiling water. And that brings us back to their frantic signing of niche brands. This move is both a desperate act and a calculated plan for self-preservation. Why niche brands? Because the mass market is a bloody battlefield, and niche brands are like deep-sea fish, small but resilient, each with its own unique ecosystem. Today's consumers are tired of conformity. This has given rise to countless subcultures: trail running, ultimate frisbee, skiing, each with its own specialized gear. These communities are small, but they are fiercely loyal and have strong spending power. They don't care how big a brand is, they care how well a brand understands them. Topsports' logic is clear. Instead of fighting sharks in the open ocean, why not cultivate a series of exquisite private fish ponds? By representing these top-tier niche brands, Topsports hopes to achieve 2 things. First, to build its own brand moat. In the past, its moat was its vast retail network. Now, that moat is being eroded. The future moat must be a portfolio of desirable brands. This elevates Topsports from a simple seller of goods to a curator of specialized athletic lifestyles. Second, to improve profitability. Niche brands might not have the volume of Nike, but they command much higher profit margins. This is how they plan to stop the bleeding. Of course, the plan is elegant, but reality is often brutal. There are at least 3 major pitfalls awaiting Topsports on this path. The first is cultural incompatibility. These brands succeeded in their home markets for specific reasons. How do you translate that hardcore brand culture into a language Chinese consumers can understand without losing its authenticity? This is an immense operational challenge. The second is the cost. Niche brands are built on community marketing, word of mouth, and sponsoring local events. This is slow, meticulous, and expensive work. Topsports is used to grand, sweeping campaigns. Can it learn the delicate art of embroidery? The third and most critical pitfall is the scale trap. Niche brands are niche for a reason. Their market size is inherently limited. Can a handful of these brands ever generate enough revenue to move the needle for a multi-billion-dollar company like Topsports? The answer, according to many analysts, is it will be very, very difficult. Broader perspective and conclusion. Topsports' current situation is like that of a middle-aged master who has spent his entire life perfecting the art of dragon slaying, only to wake up one day and find that there are no more dragons to slay. He is now forced to learn the art of beekeeping. The honey is sweet, but it must be collected 1 spoonful at a time. The process will be long and painful. But this does not mean their choice is wrong. On the contrary, it is probably the most correct choice they could make. In business, the scariest thing isn't a temporary crisis, it's indifference in the face of one. The courage to break free from its dependency and actively seek a new path is, in itself, commendable. The ultimate lesson here is that you should never tie your destiny completely to someone else's ship. Whether you are an employee relying on a company or a company relying on a major client, you must have your own lifeboat. You must dare to step out of your comfort zone. So, this story isn't just a business decision. It is the difficult, painful pivot of a retail giant under the relentless pressure of a changing world. The era of easy money, of riding the coattails of giants, is slowly coming to an end. Whether this path leads to salvation, or is just a beautiful, artistic dream that fails to solve the fundamental problem, only time will tell. A modern observer might capture the moment like this. The giant's throne, a comfortable old seat, now buried under stock in full retreat. The Nike halo starts to lose its shine. 1,000 stores now cut from the vine. With mountains of old goods they cannot sell, they seek new stories, niche and hard to tell. The tide goes out, revealing risky ground. Can new small ponds save a ship that's run aground? Outro. The self-rescue saga of this middle-aged subcontractor is guaranteed to be a fascinating watch. It's a story not just about one company's future, but about the profound transformation of an entire consumer market. That's all for today. Thank you for listening.